this tweet about email sign-offs or his signatures stuck in my craw a little bit. So Mark Sparrow, who I think is a tech writer, technology journalist, featured some of his tweets before, I think. It's retweeted by a guest on the show. I think it's Viv Groskop who retweeted this, and I saw it via Viv. The tweet goes, obviously something he's noticed. Best email signature ever. It's normal for me to take a couple of days to read my emails and several more days to reflect on the matter and respond in a calm manner. The culture of immediacy and the constant fragmentation of time are not compatible with the kind of life I lead. Now, I'm sorry, but we are obviously we're definitely going to disagree on that. I hate this. I find this the most patronising, condescending load of wank ever. It really, really, really got to me. And I know that other things should probably be getting my goat a little bit more, but it's always the trivial things, isn't it? First thing, and I will totally, when I've said this, I'll finish. The first thing is that that can't be your email signature, because if you're responding, if somebody has to see your email signature by you responding to them, it has to be your out of office. I mean, maybe perhaps that's what he means. It's got to be your out of office reply, or automatic reply bounce back. You can't write to someone and say, see below, see my lesson on Zen below. And I get it that we do live in a culture of immediacy, but I think that if you're a really, really busy person and you can't respond to your emails within a week, then quite often a lot of those people are in a position where they actually have people doing their admin for them anyway, so maybe that doesn't apply. But you also have to think about the power structure here of the kinds of people who are writing and what kind of level of expectancy they might have, or what urgency it might have, and also it's my kind of maybe slightly OCD efficiency. I couldn't not reply to something at least within a week time frame. End of rant.
No, I pre-lockdown, I would have been with you on that 100%. But since lockdown, I barely even look at my emails. So I'm kind of like almost, like levels of communication mode. I've got like 3 email accounts, Twitter, but everything. It just gets overwhelming. So I have to kind of really, just go on there when I feel I can cope with it. And even then, I kind of agree with this. I do sometimes have to consider what my answer is. Sometimes I've opened up an email and think, oh yeah, I'll get back to it, but let me read the next one. Then I've forgotten it because, age and memory. But I would love to have something like this because that explains my behavior rather than excuses it. Do you know what I mean? It's like I always want to have like that sign off, like, when I finally get to reading this email, just know that I might not respond to it straight away because, I've got like a chaotic life. That's what I'd like to put in but I thought it was quite funny. I think it's a funny thing. I don't think it means it seriously to have a humorous kind of thing. So when people are like yourself, I think, who are annoyed by this, think, oh, okay, well, there's an explanation then as to why my colleague doesn't respond to me straight.
I mean, look, one of the crucial things is this a bounce back? Is it a bounce back or is it an email that you send? So let's say it's a bounce back and that sort of fulfills that job. I think there's a lot to do. As someone who has to get used to the silent no, we've all emailed people and we've never actually heard the word no from them because they just don't reply. And you just have to kind of learn to kind of get used to that, I suppose, over time. But this is one of those things where a simple holding reply goes a long way. I think that's more polite, quite honestly, to have to issue a simple holding reply and say, look, I can't really deal with this until the end of the month or whatever it might be, and it really manages someone's expectations. But then to sort of to have this kind of quote that you'd find on a calendar or something like that at the end of it, it's like, oh, come on. I mean, I'm all for sort of detoxing and meditation and having a kind of a different way of looking at time, if you like. But there is a limit, and that limit is 5 days.
I guess, but it depends how urgent the response is needed. Like, if it's something like, can you attend this meeting tomorrow? You probably need an urgent response on that. So yeah, that should be responded to. But then if you haven't opened the email, then how can you know? So you might miss out on stuff. And I think the reason why things have changed in the past year, I mean, certainly for a creative, it's like obviously your inbox is your work. And so you'd have to open up every morning by, I would get up and answer my emails because I've had a promoter contact me or whatever. And over the past year, I just think we've got out of the art of doing that. I mean, I've got like a load of unanswered messages on my messenger, and I just can't face them, even on the WhatsApp. I mean, so many WhatsApp groups that have started since lockdown, and
Yeah.
I just can't keep up. It's overwhelming. I see like 200 messages. I'm like, I haven't got time to read those 200 messages that I've missed, let alone answer them. So I do think that perhaps this last year has just made us like, oh, I can't.
Mm.
There's no reason for me
That's
to do this. I just want to, step back.
that is really interesting because I think what you've raised as well is the fun. If you've got so many, if you're operating on various channels, if
Mm.
you're, if you are messaging through Facebook or WhatsApp or an email, then that's tricky because you've got to funnel it down. I always think the thing for me is that email allows you to have that bit more context, and it's also slightly getting quite old school in a way in terms of contacting people. But people are funny about how they're contacted. I've seen people who are journalists on Twitter who've got their DMs open saying, "Don't contact me about work through my DMs on Twitter." It's like, and it's just this line as well, the culture of immediacy and constant fragmentation. It's just like, it's yet something else we can be responsible for. I'm sort of gibbering in a corner thinking about how many world woes I'm responsible for. It's like, oh no, I'm adding to a culture of immediacy and constant fragmentation. But yeah, I mean, I think you've raised some good points there. So I can be a bit more zen about it now.
Yeah, but also even with our show, there's bits of news I've missed this week because it's exhausting. I think I get really fatigued by all of it. The constant stream of news of, we watch TV, we watch Netflix, there's so many mediums and you can't keep up. And I think obviously you've streamlined it down to emails. Perhaps that's what I personally need to
Wow.
do. But it didn't
Yeah.
seem this overwhelming before lockdown. I don't remember being, it was just the norm then. And I don't know why I personally find this all a bit of a struggle. And everyone who's actually on my WhatsApp groups and Messenger, if you're listening, yeah, I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry. There's nothing else. I've got no other explanation. I just haven't got around to it. Just saw that millions of messages and I can't take it. I just can't.
I mean, I suppose this is one of the great things about Twitter is that you get something like this and it's quite trivial and it will suddenly kind of overtake all the other things. So it's a good way of sort of displacing from like some of the kind of other world woes that are going on. That's my phrase at the moment, I think, world woes. I might feel like I might have to keep producing that tweet every time we have guests on as well. What do you think about this? I need to know. I think I'm going to be in a minority actually.